as Bitcoin prices doubled in the first quarter. Joe, back to you.
A lot of ripples. Uh-oh. Is Ripple a cryptocurrency too? I think it might be. I didn't mean
XRP, Joe. It's
I didn't
XRP.
mean that. Oh, no.
Take it back.
That move from 5,000 to 60,000, I mean, it did. Look at
the wild card to me is that there is actually a deal to be done among the central banks and governments to basically have XRP work as the world's bridge currency, a neutral asset that could be traded between the central banks to move a specific type of fiat to another type of fiat. If that's what occurs, it's back to what we were discussing earlier. It's got to cover kind of all the money. And I think you're looking at a range that XRP would settle on agreement. So this would happen instantaneously, somewhere between $10,000 and $35,000 a coin. And our lives will be, maybe the same, maybe different. I don't know.
Welcome, David Schwartz, C2 of Ripple. Thanks for joining us, as I said. I think a lot of you probably know what Ripple is, but let's just do a quick kind of primer on what it's about. So David, do you want to say what Ripple does?
Sure. So Ripple is a fintech company, and Ripple is focused on international payments right now, which is where the high friction is. And I would say that what we're working on is kind of getting enterprise customers together, mostly financial institutions, banks and non-banks, and allowing them to negotiate their payments on a network directly, bypassing things like SWIFT or things that take multiple days to settle and allowing them to settle instantly.
Yeah, this has been the narrative for a few years because I've talked to your CEO, Brad, fairly often, and he's made the case this is a way for banks to save money, use XRP as kind of a bridge currency. But I got to say, it doesn't seem to be happening. It seems every year this is kind of the promise, but we're not seeing a lot of adoption. What's going on there?
I would agree that adoption of digital assets has been a little slower, or you could see it as being incredibly quick or incredibly slow, depending on what time frame you think is reasonable. I would say revolutionizing international finance is not something that you would expect to happen overnight.
One of the main topics up there was cryptocurrencies and all sorts of companies now getting into this effort, not least among them Facebook. What kind of threat does this pose to the traditional banking system?
Well, I think you have incumbents, the banks, commercial banks, and you have the disruptors. And clearly the disruptors are having an impact on the incumbents. We just heard a very large systemic bank here saying that they're launching their digital coin, currently piloted in a way within the institutional clients, but to be scaled beyond that. We heard from the European Central Bank that they have launched in November something that is called TIPS, that enables all the banks in the Eurozone to actually transfer instantly at virtually no cost money between them. So I think the role of the disruptors and anything that is using distributed ledger technology, whether you call it crypto assets, currencies or whatever, and it's far from the bitcoins that we used to talk about a year ago, that is clearly shaking the system.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has called for a global minimum tax rate. The goal, getting other countries on board in order to prevent offshoring. This is a tax rate for corporations. Let's listen.
Competitiveness is about more than how U.S. headquartered companies fare against other companies in global merger and acquisition bids. It's about making sure that governments have stable tax systems that raise sufficient revenue to invest in essential public goods and respond to crises.
I will explain cryptocurrency by clicking a link to TV's most beloved scientist, Mr. Jim Parsons.
People think I'm a nerd, but I'm actually super cool. That's why I'm here to talk about the really cool subject of distributed consensus-based cryptocurrency. Ka-chinga. Could a nerd do that? I don't think so. For cryptocurrency to work, we need a record of every transaction that occurs. These are recorded in what's called a distributed ledger.
I'm a consensus of shared and synchronized digital data spread across multiple platforms from Shanghai to Grenada. Each day I'm closer to be in cash of the future, not in your wallet. I'm in your computer. Oh, yeah.
When you use the currency, the transaction is recorded in the ledger.
I can dig it.
And when one ledger book gets filled up, we add to a chain of previous books. That's the blockchain.
Later, glitches.
If you'd like to learn more about how cryptocurrencies work, here's everything else you need to know. And goodbye from me, super cool Jim Parsons.
I'm pretty humiliated today. I have to admit something that I've only had to do about 3 times in my whole life. And one of them was just recently on Valentine's Day. I'll let you put 2 and 500 together on that one. But I have the cojones, and I'm man enough to admit when I'm wrong. And when it comes to XRP, I was wrong. Stung a little bit just saying it.
We have before us the opportunity to forge for ourselves and for future generations a new world order, a world where the rule of law, not the law of the jungle, governs the conduct of nations. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders. When we are successful, and we will be, we have a real chance at this new world order, an order in which a credible United Nations can use its peacekeeping role to fulfill the promise and vision of the UN's founders.